So today I'm going to list out 10 things that I learned from Cal Newport. His full name I think is Calvin Newport. Let me tell you a little backstory. So I come across his body of work in 2017, I guess, and even that time he didn't had his book out. I think that Digital Minimalist. The first book that I read was deep work, and I'm going to tell you honestly, I didn't believe a shit. Okay, I didn't follow anything that he made argument for because I was arrogant, and most importantly, the book just did only halfly for me. I do get really intentional about how I was using social media because he has a section, fourth section I think, which is called Quit Social Media. Yeah, straight off the bat, you know what's coming. Some of the tips that I'm going to list may sound like it is coming from me as a year-old uncle who doesn't know how internet works, but hear me out fully, okay? And do pay attention and treat this video as a guideline to really search about his work, and so that you know what to expect. So now first his book that I read, and then I started to read, I think semi regularly, his weekly essays. So if I got something like I need to know more about like a romantic scholar, which I will talk about in another video, which to be honest I want you to Google it. So that's how I read his majority of blog posts, and he has been writing like 2017 to 2007 or 6. So it's a huge body of work, and it really depends upon you what you want from. If you are looking for arguments to quit social media, then I highly recommend just get his book and some of the essays that I will link down below. So without any further ado, let's get into the things that I learned from Calvin Newport or Cal Newport. So the number one thing, and I know ironically replay. And the first thing that I learned from his is ironically not from his book, not from his website, but from his podcast, which he recently started, I think in March or April 2020. So the first thing is reading isn't everything. So there is a fundamental difference between reading and learning. And yeah, I do advocate that you must read, but reading is just not enough. Okay, so to really convert from reading to have deep understanding of a particular subject, yes, you do need to read. You do need to read, and then to really work on that. So think of it as like firstly getting exposure, and then getting to understanding part. So getting the exposure is anything that you do. For example, reading books, reading tweets, watching a video like this. But to get to and this is all easy. Okay, it's very passive. Okay, you can read 1,000 books in like 2 years and learn nothing. And sadly, I do read many of these books like this. For example, as I was talking about in beginning, how I read his book but didn't actually understood it, because I was like reading just for procrastinating on my things that I was doing at that time. So that was like a great example of passive reading his own book. His book. So the exposure is pretty easy, but the real hard work, or as he said, deep work, comes from understanding, which really requires a deep and hard work. Okay, you need to make your own notes, so you need to explain it to something, and most importantly of all, you need to execute it. Okay, so I reread that book again in like 2018, and I quit social media. I firstly quit Facebook, and then after some time I quit Instagram, and then recently Twitter. And if you quit it, then after I quit, I noticed that I had a ton of free time. I just like released a lot of time and energy and emotional energy that was locked up in jail since I was using social media. I don't know, I think 2013 or 14. So it was really a relief. So the another thing that I learned from it is keep a notebook. So I have actually made a series that I will continue in future on notebook, and I think he mentioned keeping a notebook as writing letters to yourself in his second latest book, Digital Minimalist, which I got surprised, to be honest, because I get confirmation by it. So do keep a notebook, and really to do all your planning and writing goals, because when you write your goals or anything, do your planning on paper, you are actually first of all freeing up your thinking, and you are actually putting something tangible out in the world, so you can see it again and again after whenever you open that notebook. So personally I use bullet journaling system as operating system to keep that notebook, which is pretty simple and extremely effective. So I want you to please learn about bullet journaling, how it works, fundamentals. Okay, I will link down the below his favorite YouTube, his official YouTube channel, Ryder Carroll, and just watch that video and watch only his YouTube channel because there are a lot of YouTube channels that just, I don't know. Let me put it this in this way: if a feature, if a design does not provide any function, then it's just a useless decoration, and you don't want to decorate your notebook. So it was actually from his book, bullet journaling method. So keep a notebook, and as I said, bullet journal, learn about it. If you get it, then keep starting, or actually go rough and keep as however you want. Okay, so the third thing that I learned from Cal Newport is blogging is personal journey. Okay, so he actually didn't specify about. This is just my own interpretation from his work and from how he approach it that I observe. I may be and the thing that you don't blog to make money. Okay, but the reason you blog is because you venture into a journey because first of all, when you done setting up your blog and done buying name or a pseudonym or whatever, now what? Now you have to think of something to write about, and having a blog, it's, for me, it's like a public accountability system where I have a blog, and I know subconsciously that I have a blog. So after some days, if I haven't published anything, then I know I need to keep it up. I need to keep the warm water hot. And so in this journey, you are actually making yourself do interesting things so that you can write about it. For example, I had blog, now I had to read a lot to really write dense posts, because people are now commenting that yeah, your blogs are insightful, and the reason they are insightful because I have to read things so that I can publish them, and so that some other people, the reason I'm blogging is not for audience or anything all that, but to really make myself read things and to learn. And this is, blogging is a journey where you make yourself more interesting, and the journey of making yourself interesting is a very fulfilling journey. and I want you to please keep a blog. Okay, even I want to as far as to say you can keep a blog in any form, by video or by anything or that, or by written word or by podcast. I might even as far as to say, I want to say that keep a blog but don't make it public. Okay, just write and just keep it in Evernote, or just make video and upload it on YouTube, but don't make it public. But so another perspective I want to add is from Tiago Ford, where he mentioned how he thinks about blog in his book and on his Twitter handle. He said this blog is like the more stuff he do, the more blog post ideas or more blog gets output. So blogging, it's really like for me documenting your life and all. So I want you to please keep a blog, even private, but let me tell you, this is going to be very fulfilling, and after 10 years of keeping a blog, you will have very much fun reading your 10-year-old post. So the fourth thing that I learned from Cal Newport is this: don't highlight or don't reread your notes. So the method he mentioned is active recall method, which is simple. It is contrast to passively recalling or passively rereading things. He advocates to but this thing isn't work. Highlighting does not work, or rereading your own notes does not work. This is more like academic side. So highlighting isn't, so if highlighting doesn't work and rereading your notes doesn't work, then what works? Active recall. So the active recall is a method where you actively regenerate the material from scratch from your memory on paper, or really teach someone. Okay, it's like explaining the answer on your own words without looking at the answer or the source material, without referencing it. And this method is also advocated by Jordan Peterson. And there was also, so write your own textbook. Okay, so whatever you come across or whatever you do, even from reading books to reading art or preparing for your law exam, regenerate material from your memory. And if you could able to do that successfully without referring to the original material, then you can safely assume that you get a great grasp of the material. Now the fifth thing that I learned from him is deliberate practice. Okay, this is like a counter, this is slightly or maybe partly counter to flow experience, but this is more like a subset of it. Okay, so let me explain. So basically, what is deliberate practice? Deliberate practice is where you carefully analyze what your weakness is, either by rewatching your old footage or doing something and then noticing your weaknesses, for example, and next time you are practicing, you are only trying to improve what has been the bad experience, or what and you are trying to do only those things that you have done badly. And by doing deliberate practice, this is very uncomfortable. Okay, let me tell you, because if you hate doing squat, then according to deliberate practice you need to do more. And even Mehndi, I think he has a website called Strong Lives. He said if you don't love exercise, that means you had bad experience and your mind doesn't want to repeat those bad experiences, because our mind actually only captures emotions. So rather than running away from it, face it, and then that activity or task that you are really doesn't want to do it will lose its grasp from you. If you face it, if you face your fear, then that fear will lose that your grasp on you. For example, like me, I hate my voice. Okay, I have to edit this audio, even though this is just like 15 minutes of audio, but that will took me like 2 hours, and for straight 2 hours I have to hear my own voice, and it is scientifically proven actually that you hate your own voice. So and the reason you hate your voice is because your brain has entirely different concept of how your voice actually sounds. So so in starting, when I was making my first video, it sucked, but as I got better, and now I had really like less problem. Okay, because that and I wasn't using not editing my video as procrastination to not do that. So back to deliberate practice. So for example, in a study, while solving a question, I had to, for example, while solving a time value of money question about compound interest, and if I have to look at the formula to remember it, then rather than solving next question, I will try to really understand the formula and the concept behind it by watching a Eddie Wu video, or by understanding it, even though I won't actually memorize it, but I think it will really contribute to my understanding of how mathematics work. So actually deliberate practice is very uncomfortable, but it is really very useful, and it could be very useful for your career, and it can change trajectory of your life. So please do deliberate practice. And let me talk about little about flow, because at first I get that deliberate practice is against or contrast to flow, but no, the flow, in the flow it's a subset. So with deliberate practice you are getting most reward and most progress per minute. So please do that. And flow is an experience that we get and which is embedded in. So let me show you, I will show you the subset so you get the idea. But how do you get time? So how you will get time to do deep and deliberate practice? Well, this is where time boxing comes in. So what you are going to do is, either in the morning or day before, you are going to schedule or time box each minute of your day. And by time boxing I mean really putting like a border around 1 hour border of time where you are going to do only that task. For example, 2 to 3 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. I'm going to time box that. I will not do anything except working on my problem sets or studying. So this is how you really drain the distraction, and during the time block you will have the mindful peace that while doing the work you won't experience the urge to do something else. You are going to freely concentrate on that. It may sound that I am crossing myself out, but putting rules around your life actually gives you freedom. As Joko Willick said, discipline is precursor to freedom. So the seventh thing that I learned is use your smartphone only for the following activities: calls, text messages, maps, and audio. And audio, that could be songs, podcasts, or books. Listen good. So at first it may sound like absurd because there's literally no social media apps are allowed, and I used to follow it, but now I think that being able to work on my YouTube channel or being able to study anywhere I want really makes me study more. And I will, so what I did was, after some months I able to develop a philosophy called two smartphone philosophy. So the main crust of it is this. Well, if you want to read the full essay, then you will have to subscribe to my newsletter for that video that I will publish for that essay. Up. And for that essay you will you have to subscribe to my newsletter so that you will get the essay directly to your inbox. So subscribe to my newsletter, and you will also get access to my archive Telegram channel, which you will also get access to the archive of books, notes, essay notes, and amazing videos that I curate. On my Telegram channel. And you will also get access to the book, which is collection of essays on how to consciously learn from internet, which is a bad title. but I want you to please look at the table of contents of that book and read whatever you like to read. And in my two smartphone philosophy, so the basic crust is this: one is smartphone communication to other humans. I don't know why that sounds funny. And the second is smartphone. Okay, so you actually keep two smartphones. One is smartphone communicating to other humans, and I don't know why that sounds funny. And the second smartphone is for using to work portally on your personal projects. That could be studying for your college exams or working on, like me, on blog. So the eighth reason that I learned from Cal Newport is quit social media. I mean, just let some things straight out the gate. I'm not going to make any moral argument like your parents that by social media is causing you to lose your brain, but I'm going to make argument that if you want to know, so I have a philosophy that if any person in my life is my friend, then whatever he may say good, but I will actually want to know his intention, to really know the deep, so that I won't be fooled by his words. And in the case of social media, you get to know the intention of the service, and the intention of the service isn't to make you feel connected to your friends, but to make you addicted to their services. Social media is built just to keep you on their platform as much as possible. Count I personally leave social media free except LinkedIn since 2019 and changed a lot. I actually see that. And the another reason is that you may some, but believe me, human face-to-face conversation for your brain is more important than shallow likes, comments, retweets, or hearts. Our brain actually distinguishes between two things: communication and connection. Yes, you are getting connection to your old friends that you have met in your life, and now here you may ask, do you really want to have friends and to see all their movements in life that they post online that you don't even care about actually? Or another thing is seeing someone's photo or liking. So there's a difference between communication and connection. So yes, you are getting connected, but the communication part is where social media falls, or where social media fails. Our brain haven't evolved to comprehend putting your fingers on a plastic or glass to communicate to other human being, and could not count this as communication. So this is why, after, even though you are using social media whole day, but you still feel lonely, and the reason is this: you are short circuiting this. And if you want, don't believe me, just quit social media, remove apps for just 30 days. It won't hurt, I promise. Okay, this is the time to really fulfill your 2021 new year, new me. So, and I also use YouTube and Reddit sometimes. Reddit to really to just communicate with some communities. And let me tell you, this is the ninth thing that I learned from Cal Newport, and this is build the rules around the internet service that you use. Okay, so during my digital detox of 30 days, after 30 days, I find that I have to use only some services, not Instagram, nor Facebook, not Twitter, but YouTube. Okay, so even though I was spending a lot of time, huge chunk of my time on YouTube, but after knowing that why I was calling YouTube because video, and at that time I used to watch like TED Talks a lot, and I was loving it. And yeah, I actually want to do that. Okay, I don't want to stay connected to that friend whom did I don't even like to hang out with, but to see their photos. So actually I did the hard reset, and I actually go on hard reset and deleted my account, not deactivated, my Facebook, Instagram, and recently Twitter. So it has been really fulfilling journey for me. So, and now, even though I've decided to use LinkedIn, Facebook, not Facebook, even though I've decided to use YouTube, Reddit, or and LinkedIn, I use Reddit and LinkedIn like once per week. for less than 2 hours. Okay, and I use YouTube. I know what I want to watch because I have built rules around it. I'm not going to use YouTube to entertain myself. Okay, I have movies for that. I have Amazon Prime for that. And even in that case, Amazon Prime, I'm not going to watch those movies that Amazon Prime is recommending me. I want to watch those movies that I want to watch. Okay, it may sound like general knowledge, but hear me out. Majority of people watch things that are famous, even though they end up hating it, or they interestingly know that they are going to hate it, or that's not their taste, but they do watch it. Why? Because of they are famous, or because Netflix is pushing them on your face. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm proactively seeking out movies that are well crafted, or either uniquely awarded, uniquely made, or that are like getting award, not famous but amazing movies. And take the example of a black and white movie that I think I'm not going to watch in my lifetime, but I did watch a black and white movie. It was like that movie was Seven Great Men, I think. I forgot the name. And the movie was shot in one room in black and white, but the writing of that movie and the scripting and everything was so great that I was hooked. Okay, and I don't think I will watch a black and white movie shot in just one room, any new Netflix movie. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to proactively seeking those movies by going either to watch those which are getting Oscars, or to get more diversity from other things, like watching other short movies. And I regularly check out, if I have to watch a movie, then I will straight go to top 250 movies of all time IMDb's list. So where I can see, so these movies aren't there because they are famous, but because due to their high rating, or even though they are famous but they are very diverse. Okay, you get Parasite from Korea, to a black and white movie that I have already talked about, to some Indian movies, or to some another language movie. For example, Other Man's Life. I could never discover that movie if I haven't been seeking proactively that on, and by talking to other people. Like anime, yes, there are some anime series, for example, Death Note and Law. I'm really, so seek proactively and build really rules around it. If you have Netflix subscription, without knowing which movie you are going to watch, or which web series or which documentary to watch, don't go and open it passively. And the third thing that I learned from Cal Newport is, don't follow your passion. So actually, let me really build the case for what follow your passion meant, and the origin from it. And the origin was from Steve Jobs' graduation. Graduation speech, and where he said follow your passion, but people interpreted that as follow, but people actually interpreted it that like they think there is a job that is perfectly fit for you, and if you could achieve that job, that dream job they say, then not a day will feel like work to you. There will be no frustration, no stress, and nothing all that. And if you feel any stress in your current job or in current business, then this is not your passion and you need to quit it. And another, I think, theory built upon it is this: the distance between your dream job and your current job is just you not willingness to take action. So you get the sense that this is a very flawed thinking. This is very flawed and baseless. And even Steve Jobs said himself that he didn't mean that. So what we need to do now? This is the 11th thing, and this is the bonus. And 11th thing that I learned from Cal Newport is this: develop craftsman mindset. You to have a really fulfilling and meaningful career, you invert the question of that follow your passion. Ask what's and how you can provide the best value to that person, and value in is equal to money. So let's say, for example, if you are watching till here, then I am assuming that you enjoyed this video. Then I am assuming that you are enjoying this video and learning a lot and taking notes. Then I will get rewarded by providing you value by getting ad revenue or sponsorship, future sponsorships. This is not an easy task. Okay, I ask any YouTuber, even though on surface it may seem like a dream job, but they also have normal stress and frustrations by dealing with partnerships and all. So the question is how you are going to make yourself valuable, and the answer to this is by doing deep work. And the deep work and deliberate practice is same, but deliberate practice plus flow experience plus time is gets you mastery. And to call that all in one word, I think he used the term deep work. So why deep work? I'm directly picking these things up from his book Deep Work, which is deep work is valuable. Look, recently I was watching Eddie Wu's video on how compound interest formula came, and let me tell you, even though that video was just 10 minutes long, but it took me 40 minutes of burning my hair's oil to really understand that. And now I was doing questions, it was like I instantly know, and I really had deep understanding and more better understanding of time value of money. So if I did the shallow work and by just not studying at all or quitting it after just 10 minutes or even not watching that video at all, then I may be not able to do anything, and I won't be able to build things up from there. So deep work is valuable. Deep work is rare because there is now more things competing for your actions than ever. Okay, 50 years ago you had really like limited choice to do after work during your leisure activity, during your leisure time. It was reading book, or if you were rich, then having a TV, that's it. But now there are a lot of things. So deep work is rare and deep work is meaningful, and the reason why it is meaningful is because you are really gets into flow state. And as I have already talked about in my previous video, flow state is what your brains carve. Your brain does not like rest, your brain does not like unstructured things. Your brain loves routines and structure, and by getting into flow state you are giving your brain what exactly it wants. So through deep work you are actually enjoying the movement as well as advancing your career. So I guess this was it. I think this is the longest video essay that I made, and thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed it a lot, and it was a really hard hard time to really articulate what all these things that I learned, and picking just 10 things. Okay, I can make like 10 more things about this video, but this is the 10 most hard-hitting things that I loved, that I want to share, and I want to make people more introduced to his work so that they can improve their life by seeking his blog or by watching his TED Talk and podcast and book. And this is not at all sponsored by Cal Newport. So Cal Newport, if you're watching this, hi, and thank you so much for watching, everyone. I love you all. It will mean a lot to me if you subscribe to my newsletter, subscribe to this YouTube channel and press the bell icon. I actually couldn't develop any schedule, but I'm trying to schedule once a week. But I will make sure that whatever I publish, you will love it. So thank you so much for watching. Tata, bye bye, namaste, Jai Sri Mahankal.